Mentioned in the angle, some politicians are using the New York City terror attack to foment a totally false narrative about terrorism and immigration. To make matters worse, the media, they seem to have no problem advancing this storyline. For example, just hours after the attack, NBC News offered this headline: Muslim Americans again brace for backlash after New York attack. Their concern for the 8 dead victims is just positively overwhelming. The Associated Press posted a tweet this morning saying, quote, investigators seek motive after driver in a rented truck mowed down people on a bike path in New York City. Motive? He yelled Allahu Akbar after he carried out the attack and requested an ISIS flag in his hospital room. You don't need to be Columbo to figure that one out. Joining us for reaction here in Washington is Democratic strategist and adjunct professor David Goodfriend. And in New York is Coulter, a nationally syndicated columnist. It's great to see both of you. Ann, let's start with you. I mean, the cries of Islamophobia. I mean, how long did it take, Ann? Maybe, I don't know, 15 minutes after the terror attacks in New York? It's like clockwork.
6 hours, NBC News in a tweet, for those keeping count. No, the media is very, very predictable. The media is on the side of the Democrats, and the Democrats haven't been changing any minds recently. It's not like they have good ideas. They're bringing in ringers. They want this constant transformation of America so that they can win elections. In fact, it's come up just this week with the Virginia election, I think it was in the Washington Post, no, the New York Times, Democrats fretting that maybe all of the Hispanics that have moved into Virginia may not come out and vote for the Democrat against Gillespie. This is all about the vote for the Democrats. For the Republicans, the corrupt Republicans, it's all because their donors want the cheap labor. But don't imagine that Democrats are changing any minds here.
David, on the issue of this diversity visa program, where 50,000 individuals get it's a lot. It's like a Powerball for visas. Is that really where we should be today, given the labor market, given the fact that we have a lot of still minorities who are looking for work, who need better jobs, and I don't really get it. We're a pretty diverse country, increasingly diverse now. Why do we need a diversity program?
Well, look, Laura. First of all, I come from the upper Midwest. I know about factories that have shut down, and I know a lot of the concerns about finding jobs for people here at home. But I want the first words I say about this to be that I'm thinking about the families of those 8 people. I think we all should take a deep breath and realize real people were killed, real people are hurt, and we shouldn't allow ourselves to be terrorized by the terrorists. I'm going to ride my bike down a path here in Washington, D.C. tomorrow. I'm going to ride the metro. I won't be intimidated. These are the kind of things we should be talking about, unifying us as a nation,
kind of a
bringing us
cliche.
together.
I mean, I like you, David. Don't get me wrong. You're a great guy, but I mean, that's just the stuff we hear all the time. I'm resilient. Of course, we're resilient. We're Americans. We all know that.
Well, but you asked about the program. You asked about that visa program.
But they would be alive if we didn't have that cockamamie program in place.
Well, that's like,
okay,
but hold on. That's like me saying, but Laura, that's like me saying there'd be people alive in Las Vegas if we didn't have assault weapons for sale. How do you react to that?
Well, I think in this case, we have a Second Amendment that actually gives us the right to keep and bear arms.
So you would argue that
you don't have a constitutional right to come into the United States
I'm going to get some
from
insight.
Uzbekistan.
You're helping me.
That's
Give
right.
me insight into the mind of a conservative. So because the Second Amendment is there, you think that the shooting and the gun sales are okay. But because we can talk about a law here that passed in 1990, that's completely
that's a
the reason
tautology. That's not exactly what I'm saying.
Okay, what are you saying?
What I'm saying. I think liberals have gone too far. This is why Trump got elected, and I think everyone gets their blinders on. Ann's written books about this. I've talked about it for years. We get in our blinders and we think, okay, we have the right answers. But you forget that most people in the country aren't all that political. Most people don't really care about politics. They want food on the table. They want safety.
Agreed.
They want security. They maybe save a little for retirement. This seems to make not a lot of sense to most Americans. I bet if you did a poll on this, and Ann, you can chime in, just on this issue of the diversity visa, you ask like a random guy in upstate New York, should we have a diversity visa? You ask people down south, maybe even California, it's Hispanic immigrants, Ann. They're not seeing a lot of hikes in their wages either. Do you think they're all, yeah, we need more diversity? I don't think so. I think the Democrats make a mistake on this one.
You keep bringing up, I think, a fantastic point. You've brought it up with all of your guests, and I would like to more fully answer it, and that is this religion of diversity. No, diversity it's just treated like it's automatically a good thing, like the word organic. And we have diversity plus lottery, because, you know, that's how Kate Upton picks who she's going to date. She has a lottery. Otherwise, professional sports players and rock and rollers, they'd have the inside track. You know, the Astros should be getting chess players and the AV team.
Could I ask Anna
a guy with club foot. It's crazy. We are the greatest country in the world. We should be choosing people who are going to be our fellow citizens the way the Astros and the Dodgers choose their players, and not be taking people with club feet. It's all our choice. And whenever Americans find out the way any aspect of our immigration policy is run, it is not popular. The Democrats don't want to talk about it. Unfortunately, until Donald Trump, no Republican wanted to talk about it either.
Yeah, bingo.
Well, Ann, I want to ask you this question because I'm really curious to know the answer. There was a legislative proposal put forward by Republicans and Democrats to get rid of this program and have a blanket reform that was rejected in the House. Do you support that? Do you support that bipartisan effort to reform immigration?
It was rejected as part of a plan to amnesty 30 million illegal aliens.
So no, so you don't. You don't support it.
So no,
I mean,
we would like to get rid
important.
of the diversity lottery.
Yeah.
We do not want to amnesty 30 million illegals.
Well, see, that's interesting.
We have a hard break here, guys, but this is a great segment and a really good conversation. I want to have you both back.
Okay.
Phenomenal. Thanks for being with us. And straight ahead, a rare and exclusive interview with my former boss.
Good to be here.
So what are you expecting? Can these tensions ease between the U.S. and Germany? What do you think will be important to watch between the two in this meeting?
Well, I'm sure Trump will be charming. He always is. But they do have very serious disagreements. And it's strange that much of the media seems to, I mean, with this obsession with NATO, see Merkel as more of an ally and Putin as the enemy. Well, right now, the real enemy of the United States and the entire, all of Western civilization is radical Islam. And Putin is obviously a much better ally in that fight than Merkel is. She's inviting all of these Muslim migrants in. They have to have training programs for the refugees. Don't rape the German girls. I mean, you'd think that they'd be able to control themselves. Hey, everybody, just for the next 6 months, try not to rape anyone. And they can't do it. They can't do it. She's not only destroying Germany, she's destroying all of Western Europe. The whole idea of the NATO alliance was to oppose a communist Soviet Union bent on world domination. Well, that doesn't exist anymore. So we really are setting this, as Obama ridiculed and the entire media ridiculed Romney for one stupid remark in the 2012 campaign. This is really a 1980s Cold War mentality that bears no relation to what's happening right now.
Yeah, I mean, Romney obviously was right in his assessment a couple of years ago. Let me ask you about immigration. President Trump is pushing ahead with this.
Actually, he backed off that.
Yeah. He backed off of it.
He retracted that. Like a week later, he went on Wolf Blitzer and said, Russia, what I meant by Russia being our #1 geopolitical foe is they sometimes oppose us in the UN. That's far from the #1 geopolitical foe.
Wow. Why would he do that? I mean,
because he's weak and he lost.
Because it isn't.
Yeah.
Sorry, Ann.
I mean, that's what Obama quite successfully made fun of him for, and John Kerry at the Democratic National Convention, saying what, Al-Qaeda isn't, ISIS isn't, our #1 geopolitical foe is Russia. I mean, I don't want to live in Russia. I don't want to live in any other country. I wanted to live in America. But Russia has been dealing with the Chechnyan Muslims and lots of Islamic terrorism for centuries now. They warned us about the Tsarnaev family, the Boston bombers, and our government officials ignored them. The fight now is with Islam, which openly says they're going to come into our country, our various countries, the West, infiltrate and turn us all Muslim. This is the new Soviet threat. There is no Soviet threat. Ronald Reagan won the Cold War. But now suddenly the New York Times, which forgave Stalin for the Ukrainian famine and the gulags and the show trials, no, they can't get past, no, this Russian leader they're suddenly upset about.
So what do you make of this travel ban pushback then? I mean, the president's pushing ahead with the revised travel ban, vowing to fight these rulings, but it's 2 federal judges, Hawaii and Maryland, that halted his order. What do you make of this pushback?
He's absolutely right, and I mean, he may not want to do it, but I really think these district court judges need to be ignored. It's completely outrageous what they've done. There is no precedent for what they've done. They are basically eliminating the presidency. We have 3 branches of government. They have different roles, and Congress and and the executive branch, they have complete control over who comes in and doesn't come out of the country, as the Supreme Court has said for more than 100 years, starting with the Chinese exclusion cases. I had a column a few weeks ago that went through to the point of tedium, and I didn't cite all of the cases, about 10 cases, Supreme Court cases saying it is 100% the prerogative of the president. It's an extension of his role as the commander-in-chief and dealing with foreign policy to decide who gets in and who doesn't get into the country. I mean, for these courts to say, yes, but it affects our citizens. Well, okay, then a decision of the commander-in-chief to go to war affects their citizens. Some of their citizens may sign up, and they could be killed. That surely affects their rights. So can some district court judge someplace in the country say, I'm sorry, the commander-in-chief may have declared war, but we can't go because I'm a district court judge? The courts have been outrageous and gotten out of control for a long time, and I think the only way to stop them is to recognize the constitutional framework, which does not put a district court judge above the President of the United States. In fact, the President, I mean, there are 3 co-equal branches, but the President is the only branch where the entire authority of that branch is invested in one man, as opposed to hundreds and hundreds of federal court judges. One little dinky district court judge is going to overrule the President?
Yeah, but why isn't he doing that then, Dagan? I mean, you know, if the federal judges can overrule, then how come that's not what's happening? I mean, they've shut this down.
Yes, I mean, it's a bold step. It's been done before. The reason there is this sort of judicial tyranny isn't because the Supreme Court says, and district court judges are more important and they can overrule the decision of a president. It's because it's a scheduling matter. They have the last word. And it's always been considered, you know, sort of, you know, a dramatic step, certainly, for a president to say, but they've done it before, to say, as who is it? Is it Andrew Jackson who said, okay, the Supreme Court has ruled, now let them enforce their ruling? No, they're co-equal branches, and the president would be completely within his rights to say this decision is insane. I mean, what if you had a crazy judge? There are all kinds of decisions a judge could issue if they can issue this decision. Right. There is no precedent for this.
Brian Bremberg.
Ann, are you happy with the way the president and his administration are selling this to the public? There's some sense that the public is maybe getting less interested. They don't feel like this is really helping them. Is he selling this the right way? Does he have to do something different?
If you mean the travel ban, yeah. No, I think the public is with him. That's why he won the election. And I must say, all of the public approval polls of President Trump, I keep, you know, tweeting out, according to the polls on Election Day, he had, I think it was a 6% chance of winning Michigan, an 11% chance of winning Pennsylvania, and so on and so forth. I mean, these public opinion polls, apparently you need to add about 30 points to the public approval